So welcome back to Interpersonal Effectiveness. We're going to discuss different sort of personal effectiveness, interpersonal effectiveness styles. So this would often come up, and actually when I did in-person DBT, we'd spend a whole hour on this. So I'll kind of go over this. There'll also be a handout included kind of to help guide, and this is also not judging. We're not here to judge kind of what style we're in right now, but just recognize when we're using what style, or do we find that we often are using one style. So it is passive versus passive aggressive. So typically the DBT books will talk about passive and aggressive as the two styles, but I actually really like throwing in passive aggressive because I think that people use that style of interpersonal skill and it might actually be more ineffective and more harmful than even passive or aggressive. So I think most of us are familiar with passive. Passive would be a role that you take in conversations and relationships where you're a little too go with the flow, so you're not getting your needs met. You're not telling people what your needs are, and you're just kind of a passenger. So an example that I often utilize is if you're hanging out with a friend or a group of friends and they say, where do you want to go out to eat? And you never have an opinion. So maybe, I'm an easy eater. I'll eat wherever. That's not necessarily passive. But if you find that you're like, yeah, you know what, you can pick the restaurant, don't worry about it. And then you're sitting in a steakhouse and you're a vegetarian. Or you're sitting at a fast food restaurant and you were thinking you really wanted to get dolled up or wanted to go to some place with nicer food. Or you're at a bar and you're like, I really didn't want to drink tonight. But you didn't express an opinion, and now you're here and you're not getting your needs met. You're not eating the kind of food you want. You're not in the atmosphere you wanted, or, eating a food that you consume. So passive is just not letting your needs be met and not telling people, hey, I'd like to place the vegetarian options, or I was hoping that this is an anniversary dinner and to go to some place a little bit nice. So passive is just kind of taking a back seat, letting someone else drive, not getting your needs met and not expressing your needs. Aggressive is the complete opposite. So there's nothing wrong with being assertive, which is the fourth type. An assertive would be somebody that maybe takes control and says, okay, so here are the 3 options of dinner places we can go to nearby. That would be assertive. That is totally healthy, and a good place to be at. So aggressive would be, instead of asking where you want to go out to eat with a group of friends, saying, yeah, we're going to the steakhouse. So it's kind of always getting your needs met and not getting other people's needs met. So if there's 4 people deciding on dinner, it's not having a vote of where do you want to go. It's not saying, there's the 3 options I was thinking of, different price points or different levels of casual or distance. We could walk to this one, but we need to drive to these options. It's kind of making a decision based on what you want, not other people want, what the group is. It's kind of being overly bossy, always getting your needs met, not getting other people's needs met. In a romantic relationship, that being aggressive could be abusive. It might not necessarily be physical abusive, but could definitely be like verbally abusive or financially abusive, kind of taking control of situations and only getting your needs met and not the other person's needs. So as an example, if you share finances with somebody and you come home and there's a big screen TV on the wall and you're kind of wondering what happened, and their response is, we got a TV. I bought a TV. I just spent a couple $1,000s on a new car. Or, I kind of made a definite decision when you, being the partner, would have preferred a conversation, or the TV's not working so great, or I'd like a bigger TV, or there's a good deal at the store, or, this car, I would like a newer car, or whatever that might look like for you. But somebody who kind of makes definite decisions without asking other people about opinions or what they like or how they're feeling about something, that is aggressive. Aggressive can also include screaming or yelling or walking out of the room during, conversations or points of conflict. Aggressive could also be kind of manipulative and avoidant at times as well. And then passive aggressive, I think, is something that is a lot harder to kind of gauge when someone's being a passive aggressive. I think passive aggressive is often sarcasm, and people will say, I'm just being sarcastic. My opinion is there's nothing wrong with sarcastic humor, but there definitely becomes kind of a tipping point between being sarcastic and being passive aggressive. So passive aggressive is talking about where to go and kind of rolling your eyes and saying, yeah, sure, I guess we can go to that steakhouse again. So instead of saying, more of an assertive example, instead of saying, we got to the steakhouse last time we decided, can we take that one off of the list of the 3 and decide between this place and that place? So instead of doing that, saying like, of course we're going to go to the steakhouse. We always go to the steakhouse. Passive aggressive could also be kind of a diggy compliment. So an example that I will often give is if your hair is always curly and you come into work with your hair straight and somebody says to you, wow, you straightened your hair. It looks so good. It looks so much better. That's not much of a compliment. Sort of stating a preference. It's an unnecessary comment to be making about somebody's appearance, which in and of itself could be a whole module. But it's kind of taking a dig at someone. It's kind of being subtly aggressive is kind of how I explain it. So passive aggressive is getting that person's needs met with sort of a snarky statement or kind of a really dry statement that at the same time kind of digs at something. So passive aggressive statements are ineffective. It does not get your needs met. So instead of saying you'd prefer this restaurant, you're just taking a dig at somebody else's restaurant choices. Not very effective of a statement. So it is trying to get your needs met, but not being kind of direct about it at all. And in the process, kind of getting your needs met by often taking kind of shots at other people or other situations and kind of using humor maybe as sort of a coping or a cover to make it look a little less aggressive than it truly is. So assertiveness is kind of where most people want to be at. Now, in saying all these types, there are times where being passive is not a bad thing and effective. If you're deciding where to eat in a group of 100 people, if everyone is being assertive, you will not be making a decision of where to eat. So that would be an example. If you are sitting in front of upper management in a corporate setting and you're kind of low on the, low on the list of priority people in the room. Maybe you're an intern or something and there's lots of executives in the room with you. Being assertive might not necessarily be the best place to be at. Being passive, kind of going with the flow and seeing where the cards fall in this decision-making meeting also is fine. And there are times where being aggressive is appropriate as well, especially if you feel like you're being kind of run over or your needs are not being met at all, or you're in kind of a hostile situation, or you're dealing with someone else who also might be aggressive. You might need to kind of up a little bit of that assertiveness. So assertive is asking for your needs to be met and meeting the needs of others. An example, once again, back to the restaurant example, because I think we can all relate to that. Where do you want to eat dinner? Stuck conversation of our lives. So saying that you have a preference for a certain restaurant, saying, I ate pizza for dinner, so can we not have pizza? Fair enough. To say, can we choose a place that's vegetarian friendly as a heads up? Or a place that is a little more diabetic friendly, or I don't eat carbs, or whatever your dietary needs are. So you're getting your needs met, but you're also leaving options. Assertive can also be, hey, have you heard of that awesome new restaurant that's just up the block? So putting an option out there, not aggressively saying, we're going to that restaurant, or passively saying, whatever you want, but kind of putting options out there. Assertive is standing up for yourself. It is getting your needs met, but also taking in other people. I will include a handout that kind of goes through these. And the skill behind the skill is that you kind of look to see where you're at. Do you find yourself passive a lot so you're not getting your needs met? Are you often the aggressor, so you're always getting your needs met but not other people's needs? Are you one at work, one at home, one with your family? Obviously that in of itself is a healthy place to be at. And kind of looking at how you could be more assertive in these places. So it's fine to kind of waver between the four. or just the three. But it's good to kind of see, like, okay, at work I'm really not getting my needs met. I've been there for 3 years and still have not received a promotion, and people don't seem grateful, and I end up doing more work than everybody else. Might be time to take a more assertive role in things, or in your relationship. Are you always the aggressor, always a decision maker, and you're not maybe meeting the needs of the other person? So see where you're at, see kind of what small changes you can make to kind of fit closer to another realm, if that is what would be effective for you in your personal life, work life, romantic life, friendships, those kind of things. So that is the skill of identifying passive aggressive and passive aggressiveness.